close to where I live. But what's important is that I know that when I'm doing this, that I'm not just one person in a remote area having a little impact on the environmental crisis, but part of a network of liberal Jews all doing what we can and making a difference together.
Welcome to Kamasunri Bay that sits at the base of the Black Coolin on the Isle of Skye. Kamasunri Bay faces into the prevailing southwest wind, and in the winter the gales bring in tons of flotsam that ruins this beautiful place. Here's some of the fishing plastic that's washed in regularly. You can see the crates in which the fish are put. Barrels which are usually full of feed. The green can is a fuel can for fuel that's just been tipped over the side when empty. I see there are quite a lot of those. Well, it looks like there's a bit of a car or a fender here. And then that's a polystyrene from a float, a bucket, another bucket, and plastic bags, and a plastic bottle there, which is obviously domestic waste. But most of this stuff is, as you can see, is fishing waste. Here's one of the piles awaiting collection by the boat. As you can see, the rubbish is mainly fishing crates and rope and cartons rather than domestic rubbish. Whilst the large items are easy to remove, the small items remain. Bits of rope, bottle tops, string, litter the beach and require hours and hours of volunteer work to remove. Each summer, kind volunteers come to Kamasunri Bay to clear the rubbish and put it in piles and net it, awaiting collection by a boat to be delivered to Elgol, from where it is skipped and disposed of by the Highland Council. Last year, 2.5 tonnes of rubbish was removed from Kamasunri Beach, and this year the total is likely to be the same. So thanks to the volunteers that we're able to keep the beach clean each year, but the problem remains: there's too much fishing plastics deposited in our seas.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to second LJ ECO Shabbat. I'm delighted and honored to share this service with ECO lay leaders of 9 LJ communities, my lovely colleagues, and 3 fantastic speakers. Just to think that 4 denominations of Jewish faith in the UK are marking ECO Shabbat and making their pledges is quite moving. It is because we realized that whatever our theological differences are, we all share the same home, planet Earth. And if we don't face and address current problems of pollution, waste, and extinction, we might not have an opportunity to address our theological differences in not such a distant future. And that's why Rabbi Judith Rosenberry's introduction and film were so poignant and explained why we all are here tonight. We're here tonight to acknowledge the ecological problems the previous generations and we have created, to take responsibility for the pollution and deal with it, and to make a pledge or pledges tonight to lead our life and the life of our communities in a more sustainable and eco-friendly way. Some of the communities tonight are members of ECO Synagogue and some are not. I hope that by next ECO Shabbat, all our communities tonight will be eco communities. Let's make every Shabbat an ECO Shabbat and every day an eco day.
So Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much, Rabbi Tanya, for that introduction and reminder. You have given us a challenge in the liberal community. Just as I'm going to invite you now to light candles, if you're in your home, to transform your home now into the place that you need it to be for Shabbat. A line from the UN Environmental Shabbat program that you'll be able to read from later. We have forgotten who we are. We have become estranged from the movements of the earth. So tonight, as we light our candles and set an intention to become more connected, renewed, recalibrated, to remember that. Another week has ended. We've gathered to welcome Shabbat. As we light the Shabbat candles, may the peace of Shabbat give us all rest, relaxation, and a renewed feeling of God's presence in our lives. So I invite you now to light your candles wherever they are, next to your screen, nearby. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
One of the ways our Jewish community anchors us cosily in the present moment, whilst linking us with our past history and with other Jews around the globe, is by our celebration of Shabbat and festivals. Time passes, and we grow and change with it. We are reminded of all we have to celebrate and reflect on as each year passes. This is even more crucial in a world in which we humans attempt to control the environment in which we live. The natural world has its own rhythms and seasons. Autumn especially is a mellow time as the present secular year fades. I'm one of the lucky ones, able to walk regularly in Epping Forest through the damp layer of colourful leaves. Last Tuesday, there was a sharp chill in the air. Mist rose and wafted across the surface of Connaught Water. The sun was low and golden. It backlit and illuminated the glistening spiders' webs in the tall yellowing grasses. There was the rich smell of the fallen leaves. Walking in nature both lends itself to quiet reflection and provides awesome material to think and speculate about. Some leaves were gently pirouetting down from the trees, pretty to watch. Behind them, there are tightly furled tiny buds of their successors awaiting the spring. Each spent leaf had been silently at work throughout spring and summer 2021, transforming the air, rain and sunlight around it to make food for its parent tree, while capturing carbon, releasing oxygen, and helping to purify the air and water. Now, millions upon millions of unique tiny leaves had fallen to the earth and were being broken down by the tiny living creatures, fungi, molds, and bacteria, ready to provide an insulating layer and then nutrition to the upcoming generation of seeds and to the millions of industrious minute creatures living in the soil. Such a mind-boggling, complex system. It sustains not just those magnificent forest trees, but a wealth of insects, bird life, and animals. A walk in the woods really starts the day off well, good for body, mind, and soul. And so to my favourite prayer, to express the deepest gratitude to the source of life, from whom our time on this fragile and wonderful world is bestowed. May we use our time well. Please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shechechiyanu v'kiyamanu, v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, that you have kept us alive, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this happy time. Amen.
Okay. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamo v'zacho b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. L'shem u'letiferet bli tila. Lecha dodi לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורף קומי אורי, 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 שתדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Judaism emphasizes our need to preserve our natural resources and generate new ones for future generations. The Talmud tells the story of the sage Honi, who was walking along a road when he saw a man planting a carob tree. Honi asked, "How long will it take for this tree to bear fruit?" 70 years, the man replied. Honi then asked, "Are you so healthy that you expect to live that length of time and eat its fruit?" The man answered, "I found a fruitful world because my ancestors planted it for me. Likewise, I am planting for my children." In fact, tradition values this concept so much that the rabbis teach that if a man is planting a tree and the Messiah appears, he should finish planting the tree before going to greet him.
At this point, we conclude the Kabbalat Shabbat, the welcoming of Shabbat, and we start the formal part of the service with the Baruch Hu, the call to prayer. So if you can, please stand. La 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 la. La 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 la. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach Leolam, Leolam Vaed.
This is the blessing for rain after drought. come down, wash the air so it shimmers, a perfumed shawl of lavender chiffon. Let the parched leaves suckle and swell. Enter my skin, wash me for the little chrysalis of sleep rocked in your plashing. In the morning, the world is peeled to shining. This is the blessing for sun after long rain. Now everything shakes itself free and rises. The trees are bright as pushcart ices. Every last lily opens its satin thighs. The bees dance and roll in pollen, and the cardinal at the top of the pine sings at full throttle, fountaining. This is the blessing for a political victory. Although I shall not forget that things work in increments and epicycles, and sometime leaps that half the time fall back down, let's not relinquish dancing while the music fits into our hips and bounces our heels. We must never forget pleasure is real as pain. The blessing for the return of a favorite cat, the blessing for love returned, for friends return, for money received unexpected, the blessing for the rising of the bread, the sun, the oppressed. I am not sentimental about old men mumbling the Hebrew by rote, with no more feeling than one says Gesundheit. But the discipline of blessing is to taste each moment, the bitter, the sour, the sweet, and the salty, and be glad for what does not hurt. The art is in compressing attention to each little and big blossom of the tree of life, to let the tongue sing each fruit, its savor, its aroma, and its uses. Attention is love, what we must give children, mothers, fathers, pets, our friends, the news, the woes of others. What we want to change, we curse and then pick up a tool. Bless whatever you can with eyes and hands and tongue. If you can't bless it, get ready to make it new.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
I spent the next few days buying the things I needed in the nearby Kichijoji shopping district and started cooking simple meals for myself at home. I bought some planks at a local timber yard and had them cut to size so I could make a desk for myself. I thought I could study on it and for the time being eat my meals there. I made some shelves and got in a good selection of spices. Whenever I was fed up reading or listening to records, I would work a little in the garden. From my landlord, I borrowed a rake and broom and pruning shears and spent my time pulling weeds and trimming bushes. It didn't take much to make the garden look good. He showed me a storage shed and told me I could use anything I found inside. And in fact, the place was crammed with all kinds of things, an old wooden bath, a kid's swimming pool, baseball bats. I found an old bike, a handy-sized dining table with 2 chairs, a mirror and a guitar. I'd like to borrow these if you don't mind. Feel free, he said. I spent a day working on the bike, cleaning the rust off, oiling the bearings, pumping up the tires, adjusting the gears and taking it to the bike repair shop to have a new gear cable installed. It looked like a different bike by the time I'd finished. I cleaned a thick layer of dust off the table and gave it a new coat of varnish. I replaced the strings of the guitar and glued a section of the body that was coming apart. I took a wire brush to the rust on the tuning pegs and adjusted those. It wasn't much of a guitar, but at least I got it to stay in tune. Next, I took a few planks of wood and made myself a square letterbox. I painted it red, wrote my name on it, and set it outside my door.
The Micha Mocha is the song that the Israelites sung after they'd crossed the sea on dry land. As the waters of the oceans rise around, especially the lowest countries of the world, we cannot wait for a miracle. Just as Nachshon ben Aminadav stepped into the sea before the waters parted, according to the Midrash, so we too must act. And so, as we sing the Micha Mocha, may it give us hope and determination to do what we need to do. Micha Mocha, Palim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Neta Bakodesh, Nora Tehilot, Osefele, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Vaed.
So we turn now to the tefillah, the Amidah. Normally we'd stand, but many of us are at home and it feels right to be sitting in front of the screen. We're going to offer just the first 2 blessings, the first 2 paragraphs, which I'll introduce, but then allow us a moment of silent reflection to reflect on these pieces that have been brought. So we begin with Adonai Safatai Tivtach.
Yalla lai 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 Adonai. Yalla lai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yalla lai 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Yalla lai 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 Adonai. Yalla lai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yalla lai 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Yalla lai 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 Adonai. Yalla lai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yalla lai 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Yalla lai 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 Adonai. Yalla lai 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Yalla lai 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Yalla lai 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 Adonai. Yalalai lai lai svatai tiftach. Yalalai lai lai ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha.
So let's go together into the first paragraph of the tefillah, the one that asks us, invites us to think of our ancestors and those who come after us, and our need to remember that connection. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanira El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, u'Mevi Gula Livnei v'Nehem, L'ma'an Shemo b'Yahava, Melech Hosea u'Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham. Unending is your might, eternal one. You are the source of eternal life. Great is your power to redeem. You cause the wind to blow and the rain to fall, the sun to shine and the dew to descend. In your love, you sustain the living. In your compassion, you grant us eternal life. You support the falling and heal the sick. You free the captive and keep faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of all strength? Who is your equal, sovereign author of life and death, whose will it is that goodness shall prevail? Trusting in you, we see life beyond death. We praise you, O God, source of life. Baruch atah Adonai, Machaye Hamitim. Let's take a moment for silent meditation, taking time with these pieces as they come up for us.
We continue now with a further reading for us, written by and to be read by Mandy Ross.
What we know, the trees, a poem in two voices, humans and the voice of the trees. We know we're small, walking among time giants, drinking their centuries of tall, rustling grace. No one place, here, now, dark, light, dark, grow slow, still, deep, high. Lace, shade and airy rooted reach between earth and sky, breathing light. Kin, reach, bend, roots hold, endure rhythms, heat, freeze, storm, calm. Husbanding food and sap through seasons' stories, mothering saplings, even rotting purposefully. Bud, slow unfurl, leaf, sun, green, under, over, through, green, 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 fall, bud, seed, wood, rot, nourish. So much we know, all eyes and ears, naming them in so many languages, learning, measuring, writing. Bird, visit, visit. As they spread and whisper wordless messages of slow urgency above our heads, beneath our feet. Rain, roots, drink, share. Seed loves life, each, mine, ours. So quick and full we are, fluttering, wanting. We love life, each, mine, ours. Seeds make seeds, and our future seeds making seeds. Here now, we know our wants threaten, threat, rhythm shifts, falters, yet can't seem to shift.
After creating the first human, the Holy One who is blessed took them around all the trees of the garden and said to them, "See how lovely and excellent my works are. I have created them all for you. Take care not to spoil and destroy my world, for if you spoil it, there will be no one to repair it after you." Kennet, Rabbi, chapter 7, verse 13. I sit on the council with responsibility for environmental action and justice and lead the Brighton and Hove Progressive Synagogue Green Team. We hold events and grow a green Jewish community across the city. Our vision is to grow a Jewish community that cares about our environment and each other and takes action for the planet, to work together to build a more connected, caring, sharing, sustainable society and economy. Our aim is to establish Brighton and Hove Progressive Synagogue as a hub for all that is green and Jewish. I'm proud to announce on this ECO Shabbat that due to our green efforts over the last 3 years, we have been awarded the first ECO Synagogue Silver Award in the country. This is particularly pertinent in the week of COP26, the UN Climate Conference. Today, Greta Thunberg led a demonstration of thousands of young activists through the streets of Glasgow to demand climate action. As Greta says, there's too much blah, blah, blah. We can't talk our way out of a crisis. What's needed is immediate and urgent action. Tonight, on ECO Shabbat, I urge each of us to act for the planet. Ask yourself, what can you do today, this Shabbat, tonight, this month, to make a difference? At Brighton and Hove Progressive Synagogue, we're all committing to action for the planet, whether that's to be more vegan and help cut emissions through our dietary choices, or to take more sustainable forms of transport, walk, ride a bike, use an electric vehicle if you need to. We can and must all take action, but this crisis needs all of us. We can't simply wait for others to act. We all need to do our bit. We owe it to our children, our communities, and to the future, for all people and our beloved planet.
Still now, our world is incomplete. Still now, the hunger of many continues night after night. Still now, the cruelty of some causes pain to many. Still now, colour, race and religion are tools of division and fear. Still now, politics and greed overrule morality and justice. Still now, we must pray and work for a better future. So I invite you to join me in reading these words of Judy Chicago. And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power, and then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind, and then both men and women will be gentle, and then both women and men will be strong, and then no person will be subject to another's will, and then all will be rich and free and varied, and then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many, and then all will share equally in the earth's abundance, and then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old, and then all will nourish the young, and then all will cherish life's creatures, and then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth, and then everywhere will be called Eden once again.
A Spanish philosopher wrote, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. When it comes to climate change, repeating the past is a luxury we can't afford. If we don't change our habits, it will mean irreversible changes to our planet. Future generations will look at you, the older generation, as the ones that didn't have the courage to act, rather than the ones who recognized the fierce urgency of the moment and fought it head on. As a young person, I believe that it is crucial that we speak about this global crisis. We deserve a cleaner, greener planet because we are the new generation who must deal with the consequences in the future. Therefore, you should get involved in the ECO Synagogue initiative. This is a chance for you to help the planet and start changing things that may soon become irreversible. We can only make a significant difference if we act together because there is so much work that needs to be done in order to save the planet. However, we all need to change our mindset and realize that all of us need to face some dramatic changes to our unhealthy habits, such as reducing single-use plastic. This can be easily changed by using a reusable water bottle or wooden cutlery when on the go, recycling everything, including our clothes, and signing up to renewable energy companies or using solar panels. Wherever possible, this will drastically help with pollution, global warming, and the prevention of prevent the destruction of natural habitats. On behalf of everyone at the Liberal Synagogue Elstree, we pledge to join Eco Synagogue by the end of 2021, recycle everything we can where possible, and we have already planted trees, flowers and herbs to encourage wildlife within the shul's premises. Furthermore, the staff and I have been teaching the children at Yehuda all about the environment and what they can do to help, but also how to speak out to the older generations in order to prevent them from making fatal mistakes.
And as we reach towards the end of the service, we arrive at the praise of God with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. We also recall our family, our friends, our community members who passed away at this season and in years gone by. We also remember Michael Grabiner, chair of the Reform Movement and the chair of the World Union for Progressive Judaism, who passed away this week, and Volker Heinemann, a colleague of our speaker tonight, Miriam Kennet, and our co-founder of the Green Economics Institute, who sadly also passed away this week. And we also recall the increasing number of worldwide victims of climate change in our world. Zichronam livracha, may their memory be for a blessing. And we praise God's name with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, ve'alma divera chiruteh, ve'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמד קודשה בריחו, לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם, ואמרו אמן.
And we conclude with this song, which is a quote from Mishnah Avot, also known as Pirkei Avot. It is not your duty to complete the work, but neither are you free to abstain from taking part. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, velo ata ben chorin lehibatel mimena. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, ולא אתה בן חורין להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורין, ולא אתה בן חורין להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, ולא אתה בן חורין להיבטל ממנה, ולא אתה בן חורין, ולא אתה בן חורין להיבטל ממנה, המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור, לא עליך המלאכה לגמור, לא עליך לגמור.
And before we go to make Kiddush together, or we'll continue to make Kiddush together, a short blessing to conclude. For all of us, Baruchim Atem Babayit, may you be blessed at home. Uvruchim Atem Basadeh, and may you be blessed in the open, in the fields, when you go out into nature. Baruchim atem bavoachem, may you be blessed when you come in. Uvruchim atem b'tzeitchem, and may you be blessed when you go out. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, and we hope you have with you what you need for Kiddush. And my apologies, some of these pages just shifted in their placement as we finalize the service. But Rabbi Tanya for Erev Shabbat Kiddush.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Richard, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. What a lovely service. I would like to thank very much Rabbi Judith Rosenberry for making a beautiful film which sends the message out and shows us the consequences of our actions, which sometimes we don't see when we pollute the land around us. Thank you so much, Judith. And I would like to thank you very much also for providing the beautiful video for a very special minute of silence. The stream of the river was so strong, and I hope that that's going to be our eco actions, just as strong and fresh and going through life with that strong motion as well. I would like to thank very much all our lay leaders. Thank you so much for being our eco warriors. And I would like to thank my wonderful colleagues. But most of all, I would like to thank our tech gurus for leading us tonight and helping us with streaming our services, Leoa, Mindel, and Andy. Sorry, Andy, don't know your surname. And I would like to thank Liberal Judaism for the great support for ECO Shabbat and ECO Synagogue initiatives within our movement, and particularly our CEO, Rabbi Charlie Baginski, who unfortunately is not able to be with us tonight, and we wish her refuah shlema, as well as Simon Rothstein and the whole and members of staff at LJ office. Thank you so much. And we continue now our evening with Kiddush and then Hamotze and dinner. Please stay for dinner, bring your dinner along, or you can switch off, zoom out, and then come in again, as you wish. And Kiddush at the moment. ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבון ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצוונו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל ימים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. L'chaim. And I would like to invite for our motze, student Rabbi David Yehuda Stern, who you will hear just a little bit later after our dinner discussion. David Yehuda, student Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. If you have your chalot, please do join me in the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, thank you very much. And I would like to thank everyone who joined us on Zoom. Thank you so much for seeing such a big congregation tonight. And thank you everyone who joined us on all the social platforms for being with us and giving us power and strength, because together we are stronger. And now I would like to introduce to you our speaker, Adam Jackson. He will say a few words and then we'll lead our dinner discussion. And Adam Jackson is a former chairperson and trustee of the International Jewish Vegetarian Society. He originally qualified and worked as a solicitor in the mid-1980s before retraining in natural therapies. Adam quickly became a leading proponent in his field. And in 2001, he appeared on behalf of the British Complementary Medical Association before the House of Lords Selected Committee, reviewing alternative and complementary therapies in the UK. He's a former monthly columnist for the Nursing Times and Health Guardian, and he's an internationally published author whose works have been translated into over 30 languages. Adam, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and please lead the introduction.
I'll mute myself.
Well, everyone, please enjoy your dinner, and you're very welcome to bring it along.
Well, good evening, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to give a little talk and then perhaps we can have a chat about saving the planet one meal at a time. Just a few months ago, in August of this year, the IPCC, that's the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, wrote that the human influence has warmed the atmosphere, the oceans and the land. The widespread and rapid changes that we see in the atmosphere, the ocean, the cryosphere and the biosphere is something that has been unprecedented over not just centuries, but many thousands of years. And they predict that we have until 2030, that's just 8 short years, before the catastrophic effects of this climate change will be unstoppable. What that means is rising seas, more droughts, more famines, climate wars, climate refugees. This, of course, is not new. I don't know if you recall, but back in 2006, the documentary Oscar winner was An Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore, the vice president. And in that movie, he highlights the tragedies of the destruction to the planet. At the very end of the movie, Al Gore says, each one of us is a cause of global warming, but each one of us can make choices to change. With the things that we buy, the electricity we use, the cars we drive, we can make choices to bring our individual carbon emissions to zero. The solutions are in our hands. We just have to have the determination to make that happen. However, there was one problem with Al Gore's call for action. And that is, it omitted the biggest culprit in the destruction of the planet today. It's an industry that destroys the planet more than any other by a massive difference. This industry is the #1 cause of greenhouse gases. It's the #1 cause of water depletion. It's the #1 cause of water pollution. It's the #1 cause of deforestation. The #1 cause of desertification. It's the #1 cause of the acidification of the oceans. That's ocean dead zones. It's the #1 cause of species extinction. We're seeing the largest mass extinction in 65 million years. And it's the #1 cause of the plastification of the seas. And that industry is animal agriculture, breeding animals for food. Animal agriculture was ignored back in 2006, and it remains largely ignored now. Yet leading scientists argue that unless we are prepared to change our diets, all of our other actions are useless, because animal agriculture takes up nearly half of the world's landmass. That's between 40 and 50% of all the world's landmass taken up by animal agriculture. Every second, 1 to 2 acres of rainforest is destroyed for cattle or soy production for animal feed. Every minute, 7 million pounds of animal excrement are produced by the animals raised for food in the US alone. So you've got, for example, a farm the size of 2,500 dairy cows that will produce the same amount of excrement as a city of 411,000 people. The livestock in the US produces 116,000 pounds of waste every second. So that's 130 times more animal waste than human waste. It really is shocking. So you've got up to 137 plant, animal, and species are being lost every day due to rainforest destruction too. So according to Oxford University researchers, they gave a report in November of last year. They said that even if fossil fuel emissions stopped immediately, the emissions from the global food system, from animal agriculture primarily, would be enough to raise the global temperatures by more than the widely accepted 1.5 degree limit. So the importance of reducing our consumption of meat is critical if we're going to change, if we're going to have hope for the future in climates. The leader of the Oxford study report said, the good news is that there are many achievable ways to reduce food emissions, but we have to act quickly. They put the most important shift is towards a predominantly plant-based diet. So some simple maths here. There are nearly 8 billion people living today. I think it's 7.75 in that region, billion people. Every day, we see a net increase of 220,000 new people. That's 81 million people every year. To feed one person on a plant-based diet requires 1/6 of an acre. To feed someone on an omnivorous diet, including meat, takes 18 times more land. You need nearly 3 acres. So we need to find 400 acres of new farmable land every day with the current increase in the population. So where are we going to find that? Just impossible. To give you another perspective, on 1.5 acres of land, you can produce 375 pounds of beef, but you can produce 37,000 pounds of plant-based food. So if we are prepared to change, according to the Oxford University researchers, we can reclaim 76% of all of the current farmland. Remember that animal agriculture takes up nearly 50% of the planet. So we could reclaim 76% of that amount. And we can reduce the global warming gas by 73%. And the gases produced by animal agriculture are far more harmful to the environment. So methane is estimated to be about 80 times more destructive than carbon dioxide. So these are the facts. We can move into electric cars. I mean, I actually live I live on a boat, and the boat is powered by solar panels, and I pull up water from the river even for my water supply. But we can make more changes by the food choices that we make, greater changes, because even if you have an electric car, chances are it's going to be powered, you're going to receive the energy by fossil fuels. Unfortunately, at the moment, the renewable energies are just not sufficient to power the world as we need it today. So I would urge everybody, if you want to be an eco warrior, if you want to save the planet, you've got to start with the food on your plate. And I know most people find that very difficult to do, but I can promise you it really isn't in this. It's certainly in the UK. It's a simple matter of choosing one milk over another, a plant-based milk as opposed to dairy milk, and a plant-based option as opposed to an animal or what we'd call meat. And just to finish, and I'll be very happy to take any questions, the quote from James Cameron, the Hollywood director, he says, "There's no such thing as a meat-eating environmentalist. If you want to save the world, you can't just drive a Prius. You've got to cut meat out of your diet." And the only way change will come is not through governments. We've got the COP26, and they're hardly even covering animal agriculture. And the reason for that is animal agriculture is a huge global industry. It's a huge lobby. There's a huge amount of money, and change has to come from each one of us. Okay, thank you very much for listening. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to discuss.
Thank you very much, Adam. And I will have to scream because I hardly can hear myself for all the fireworks. We managed to choose the best night.
Sorry.
To ECO Shabbat.
Yeah.
So many fireworks. Celebrating ECO Shabbat already. Adam, thank you very much. And I would like to say goodbye for now, for the next 20 minutes to our live streaming community, while we'll take in questions and having discussion. But we will rejoin back at 8 o'clock when we'll have our speakers. Thank you very much for joining